So I've been working on some new tunes, and I was thinking I'd like to get these recorded. I'd like to get some videos of them as well. And I thought, well, what I should do is I should just set up a bunch of cameras and rattle them off like a live concert. So it'd be an empty room, and I'd be doing them live, like live in an empty room. So I called up my friend Philip and said, hey, can you come and help operate these cameras? And the two of us, we set up the cameras, and that's what we did. So we got a live in an empty room concert. I'm going to put all those individual clips up on YouTube. There'll be a link in the description. But I thought after that, it would be a good idea to introduce the songs. And I thought, well, I'm not just going to introduce them just like saying, hey, here's the next song. I'm going to go a little bit deeper than that. So if you're not particularly interested in hearing about the depth or the ideas behind the composition, you just go to the YouTube channel and click on the playlist, and you'll be able to get all the clips with no talking, just the music. But if you want to go a little bit deeper, right, well, this is the place to be. This is where we're going to show you all about how and why. So the concert starts with Dark Was the Night, or as I'm calling it, The Dark Night, just to be different. So I started playing Blind Willie Johnson's Dark Was the Night as a learning experience, because his version of Dark Was the Night really is one of the apex pieces of music made by humankind. That's why they sent it off in Voyager to travel out to the solar system, so that if aliens find out about our planet, they're going to find out about Beethoven, Bach, Chuck Berry, and Blind Willie Johnson. And as Carl Sagan said, the first message we're probably going to get from outer space is going to be, send more Chuck Berry. Okay, so Blind Willie's version, he plays slide, and he's a much better slide player than I'll ever be. So I started off just copying him and working on his vocals. And then I started thinking, well, this is a damn fine tune, but why should I just be copying someone who has already done it better than me? Because I'm never going to do it better than him. So I started off looking up the words, because the song is a spiritual. It's a hymn. It's a 17th century hymn. It's way, way back. And as I researched it, I discovered that there's no clear sense of the melody. Different hymn books have got it written differently, and the words have changed. It's become a piece of folk music. So it's up for grabs. So I found the words, and I adapted the best set of words that I could find into something that fitted a rhythm which is a bit like Blind Willie's version. And then I thought, well, I got to harmonise this. So Blind Willie, he plays with a slide, of course. And I thought, well, that's a G chord. That's B, A, G sharp. So the accented notes are going to be a B and a G sharp, and we've got an E in the bass. That's an E major chord. So something like that was going to be my starting point there. And then the next line he plays, well, it ends in a dominant chord, ends in a B7 chord. Then I thought, well, when we go to an A, he starts an A, and I thought, we want a bit of colour here. So that's where we get a G minor 7. And back to the B, because you always want to get a B if you want to go back home to E. If you're in the key of E, you're looking for a B chord, because the B chord will send you right back home to E. So I think I've reimagined Blind Willie's song. I've taken it somewhere else, and it's got its own new character, and it fits me, and so it's now an original piece. Hence it gets a new name. Dark was the night, cold was the ground, when I lay his head upon the ground. Come, send I see what the Lord has done, shed His blood for everyone. Yes, dark was the night, cold was the ground when I laid His head upon the ground. Now the second tune, Monté, is it's a piece which is, we're going from the spirituals to the voodoo, because this one name drops all the principal deities of voodoo and some of the principal figures, and it's got a nice little spooky groove to it. It's almost all on the same chord, it's almost all on D. The language is, it's my appreciation, which is probably all wrong, of Louisiana Cajun. If you speak French, you'll pick up some words, but then you'll find other words that you don't know, because those words are words which are specific to voodoo, because Louisiana Cajun is the liturgical language of American voodoo. So Ziete Monté is I've been ridden, which has a sexual connotation, I believe. But it's also the term that you would use if you've been possessed by a spirit, because voodoo was a spirit possession religion. And the songs, you know, it's all about that. It's hey, what is this? This is Santeria, the religion of the saints, because back in the missionary days, the white preachers noticed that the black folk all had this religion, but it was all about saints. It wasn't about Jesus. It was more about the saints, because what they'd done is they'd taken the Catholic saints and they had incorporated them into the pantheon of the voodoo saints. So Saint Patrick, San Patricio, has a dual personality. He's not just the Catholic saint, he's also a voodoo deity. And that's where the song comes from. It's all about voodoo. Je suis un grand zombie, papa, qu'est-ce que c'est? Santeria et l'iguia, mon plaisir de l'orecha, yeah. Et Monté, yeah, Monté, yeah, et Monté, ce soir les ballons, ce soir les ballons, ce soir les ballons Monté. San Patricio avait libre belle, c'est libre de Moïse. Marie le mort, chante-toi, je me sens belle les chats noirs. Yeah, et Monté, yeah, et Monté, yeah, et Monté. C'est soit les ballons, c'est soit les ballons, c'est soit les ballons Monté. Papa, qu'est-ce que c'est? C'est bon, c'est mon merci offert pour vous griller de vos pères, pour voir c'est quoi vos volets. Yeah, et Monté, yeah, et Monté, yeah, et Monté. C'est soit les ballons, c'est soit les ballons, c'est soit les ballons Monté. So the way I play guitar is not ordinary. I started off with a more finger-picking style, that sort of thing, and I wanted to get a bit faster with it, and so I started alternating between fast finger-picking and slapping the guitar with my thumb. And on a resonator, that gives you quite a nice thumpy sound, and sometimes thumping it on the middle part here, being a bit percussive, and alternating your hand this way, you get these semi-quavery runs, and it's nice, fast and funky. Is it an educated way of playing guitar? No, it's kind of like the thing that somebody might make up themselves, so I made it up myself. So that's how the guitar playing works. It's this alternating thing here, but it's not based on strumming, it's actually based on finger picking. It is a kind of mutilated version of Earl Scruggs style. So Hemi 265, I used to have a car. I used to have 5 Valiants in a row. But you might say that I had the same car, but the body would rust out every year, so I just replaced the body and keep the engine and all the good stuff that was in the car, just transfer all that into the new car. And the engine was a Hemi 265, which is a fine engine, big 6, gas guzzler engine. And to understand the song, you should know that Hemi 265 has 265 cubic inches, which is the same as 4.3 litres. It delivers 200 horsepower. It's better than a Slant 6 because it was the successor to a Slant 6, which was the engine that was in Valiant previously. And when I was working on this song, I was thinking, well, yeah, a purple Charger is probably the typical image of an engine, of a car that would have that engine. And where are you going to put a purple Charger to make it stand out? In the desert road snow, because it's going to look good there. It's going to rhyme as well. And then I was thinking, well, why would a purple Charger be in the desert road snow? What's around there? Where would it be going? So I looked up on a map, and there it is, Rangipo. It rhymes too. Rangipo is a prison. It's a prison where they used to teach the inmates how to get a certificate in food, a ticket in food, by making dog roll. So that's where the song comes from. So, and I thought, what key are we going to do this one in? Well, we can do this one in any key. Well, I thought, let's make it a song that's not in E, because so much of my music so much of my guitar playing, like every other guitar playing, E is your default setting because it's got your bottom open string there. So let's put it in a key you don't want to have too many songs with the same tonal center in a row. Ideally, you want to have each song being followed by a song in a different key, because it keeps the sort of variety of the tonal centers in the whole set. So I thought, let's do this one on A flat. A flat's a real nice key. Well, it's a nice key for saxophone. Nice key for baritone sax, because it puts you into F, which is a key that I like playing baritone sax in. So A flat's not your normal guitar player's key. So I started off with a sort of like a minor seventh crotchet figure for the bass part, just like that, and just move that around. But I'm not a good enough guitar player to keep that going while I'm singing, and it probably wouldn't sound so good on the guitar. So I just started messing around. And I thought, well, this kind of figure is this kind of sort of figure I've used a fair bit. We're using a straight barred chord on the lower strings, which is going to give you 1, 4, flat 7, which is a bit of a weird kind of chord, you know. It sounds all right, but it's an unusual texture. Alternating with that, when you put that finger down, you get a 5 chord with no third or seventh, if you're using the bottom 3 strings. And as you start bringing the other ones in, well, it's almost by chance you get some nice sounding things there. And so that was the basic rhythm for the guitar playing version of it. And I thought, well, I kind of wrote this one without an instrument. I wrote this in a hotel room with no instrument. And when I started working it out, I thought, well, where does that really feel like it's going? It's actually going up to the 3rd. Up up to the flat third, which is an unusual movement, but it works quite nicely. So the whole song is basically based on this A flat going up to B, and then the occasional going down to G. Just take us home. So I'm after chord progressions that make sense in retrospect, as opposed to formula progressions that are just going the same old place, because they're a dime a dozen. But progressions that seem kind of weird when you come across them the first time, but then when you hear them again, you go, yeah, that kind of makes sense. Hemi, Hemi, 6 in line. Open her up and she'll rock it real fine. I got a purple charger in a desert road snow. 200 horses, say goodbye to dog roll. 200 horses, say goodbye to dog roll. 200 horses, say goodbye. Hemi, Hemi, 265. Better than slot 6, oh, we're gonna drive. I got a ticket and food, I'm on the go. 200 horses, say goodbye to dog roll. 200 horses, say goodbye to dog roll. 200 horses, say goodbye. A car like this, it gets in your head. She gets those gas and she likes it with lead. Put your foot on the floor and the line in the red. I got a 6-pack of line and the line in the red. At 4.3, gonna leave you for dead. I'm heading on south at a ring and pull. 200 horses, say goodbye to dog roll. 200 horses, say goodbye to dog roll. 200 horses, say goodbye. A car like this, it gets in your head. She goes those gas and she likes it with lead. Put your foot on the floor and the line in the red. Next up is the Western Swing. So this is based on this started life as a Sleepy John Estes tune. And Sleepy John, he was a pretty interesting kind of fella. He was played hokum music. He played good time blues with crude lyrics. Anyway, so one of his songs was Little Laura, and it was on the first record that I ever bought when I was a kid, with my own money. First record I ever bought with a kid with my own money. It was a compilation blues album, and I had that tune on it. And so I was playing that tune, and I made up a new bass lick for it. It was sort of using a sort of an asymmetric kind of feel. With that sort of flat third accent, sort of almost like a tango sort of feel. The Latin tunes that Jelly Roll Morton used to talk about. So I was using that, and then I was thinking, well, if I've given Sleepy John's tune new music, why don't I just make up some new words? And because I was getting a bit tired of Sleepy John's words, they're a bit misogynistic. Make up a whole new tune with, give it some new words, and I've got a completely original tune. So that's where we end up with the Western Swing. And I started thinking, well, it starts off with the line from Sleepy John, except now it's Little Laura was a tango girl. She liked to jitterbug. She liked to dance all night. She liked to cut a rug. And, okay, so we're heading into 12-bar territory here. This is all heading along nicely. And I'm thinking of The Land of 1,000 Dances, that old R&B tune, which just name drops all the dances. Well, I named a wider spectrum of dances. We've got rumba, cha-cha, Lindy Hop, the Lambeth Walk and the Boogaloo, the Monkey, all of those things, the Swim, the Watusi, they're all in there. And we played it with the band. Well, we used that bass lick, that kind of bass lick. But when playing it solo, I've just started to use that frapping and frailing bastardized Earl Scruggs thing, it kind of works on the resonator guitar. It's quite nicely percussive. It's yeah, works well. I'm pleased with that one. Little Laura was a tango girl, she liked to jitterbug, liked to dance all night, she liked to cut her rug, and she would tango all night long. She do the shim sham shim till the rising sun. Well, let's do the western swing. Let's do the western swing. Rumba rumba. Rumba, rumba, cha-cha-cha-cha, frog. Bam, boo, that dilly dam, bam, billy dam, dum, bam, dum, bam, bam, bam. Ah, dilly doo doo, bam, dilly doo, bam, doo, da, da. She do the Lambeth walk, she do the boogaloo, she like to tighten up and make a monkey out of you, and she would tango all night long, yes she would. She do the western swing till the rising sun. Well, let's do the western swing. Let's do the western swing. Rumba rumba, rumba rumba, cha-cha-cha-cha, cha-cha-cha-cha, frog, yes. She do the Linda hop, she do the locomotion, what two, she shimmy, mashed potato in the swimming. She would tango all night long, yes she would. She do the shim sham shimmy until the rising sun. Well, let's do the western swing. Let's do the western swing, yeah. Do the rumba rumba, rumba rumba. Rumba rumba, cha-cha-cha-cha-cha, cha-cha-cha-cha, frog. Track 5, Babylon. So I was sitting around a friend's house and saw a book on Revelations, and I was thinking, Revelations, it's a gospel theme, but it's also kind of a reggae theme and kind of a voodoo theme, and it's got the whole lot all mixed together. So again, I wrote this one in a hotel room without an instrument, but I had a pretty good idea of how it went. And so the chord progression is kind of a weird one. It's a bit like Hemi 265, but it's just the way that it had to be. And I kind of like progressions, as I say, which are good in retrospect. And the first time you come across it's what? And it's using this basic tango, New Orleans-y, Cuban kind of feel, this rumba. And then we go from there from G up to B flat, and then up to C, and back, takes us back down. So that's our basics. And the chorus, it just had to be C sharp, which is a nice weird light jump of a flat 5. That's not your normal leap of a progression, not in blues anyway. And then it just had to go across one string from there. And the bit that I like best is coming back to the B flat instead of the G there, coming into the chorus, because it keeps the tension boiling nicely. Well, you can stand down or you can stand up. Drink a little wine from a sanctified cup, looking at a beast coming out of the sea. Lady on a beast said, "Looky at me, it was a revelation. It was a trial and a tribulation. It was annunciation. And these were the tales of Babylon, yeah, Babylon. Well, you can stand up or you can sit down. You can wear a smile or you can wear a frown. Looking at a beast, 7 heads and 10 horns. Lady on a beast, looks like devil's spawn. It was a revelation. It was a trial and a tribulation. Yes, it was. It was false creation. And these were the tales of Babylon, 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 long, 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 Babylon, 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 long. Well, along came an angel with a trumpet and a seal, put one foot on the land and the other on the sea. Babylon has fallen down to the sea. It's the wine of a passion and immorality. And it was a revelation. It was a trial and a tribulation. It was degeneration. And these were the tales of Babylon, 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 long, Babylon, 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 long. Well, you can come in or you can go out. I heard strange things and I heard a voice shout. I heard words of comfort, words of warning, tales of saints and devils swanning. It was a revelation. It was a trial and a tribulation. It was mystical aberration. And these were the tales of Babylon. The Land That Time Forgot was inspired by the movie of the same name, or all of those movies back from the 50s and 60s where you got people and dinosaurs in the same movie. And it's also, The Land That Time Forgot is a term a derogatory term I have used for Taranaki in the past, because it seems like The Land That Time Forgot's the only place Jethro Tull played when they came and toured New Zealand, things like that. It seems like it's this little land off by itself. And anyway, so this one name drops your favourite dinosaurs. It's got the Tyrannosaurus, it's got the Brontosaurus, it's got the pterodactyl. So it's got a verse for each of those. And now the chorus, the verse being just that. As the index finger hitting these strings here, independent of these two fingers, that's what makes that strum, that bastardized Earl Scruggs thing, work nicely. Down to G and back to B, and then finishing on an F sharp, which is like finishing with one foot in the air. And I like songs that finish with one foot in the air. I like songs that take you somewhere and just leave you hanging, because it would have been all not easy to do something like that, to come back to a B at the end, but I like it hanging on the F sharp. Into the land where time forgotten, the jungle was green and the sun was hot. I fought the Tyrannosaurus, you were pretty, and I was brave. Into the land where time forgotten, I wanted to swim, but you did not. We met the Brontosaurus, he took us for a ride. When he put us down, you were sad. Into the land where time forgotten, our water ran out and our food did run. I saw the pterodactyls, but you were looking at the ground. You're looking at the ground. Into the land where time forgotten, I remember, but you forgot. Volcanoes and earthquakes, King Kong. But now it's a time for rats and small rodents to inherit this. Next track up is Spoonful. Now, Spoonful's a cover, it's a Willie Dixon tune. Willie Dixon was a master of taking the barest of bare bones and making some magic with them. So that's what I like about Spoonful. It's a one-chord groover. It's just got that simple little lick there, and that just drives the whole thing along. And I added this little that little bit there just to separate the verses. What's good about Spoonful in terms of lyrics is that it evokes a whole lot of things and says nothing. It's poetry, you know. These lyrics are what do they mean exactly? They don't really mean anything precisely. They're just a melange of weirdly psychedelic, slightly druggy concepts that just drift in. So it's a grooving tune. It's a one-chord groove with poetic lyrics. What more could you wish for? Well, a good deal spoonful of coffee, a good deal spoonful of tea, one little spoon of your precious love, good enough for me. Some lie about them, some cry about them, some sigh about them. Everybody worry about her. That spoon there, that spoon there, that spoon there, that spoon there, spoonful. Spoonful of diamond, a good deal spoonful of gold. One little spoon of your precious love will satisfy my soul. Some lie about that, some sigh about that, some cry about that. Everybody worry about her. That spoon there, that spoon there, that spoon there. Everybody worry about a spoonful. Well, a good deal spoonful of water to save you from the desert's here. One little spoon of my 45 to save you from your evil plans. Some lie about that, some cry about that, some sigh about that. Everybody worry about her. That spoon there, that spoon there, that spoon there, that spoon there, spoon there, spoonful. Now, one day back in the 1930s, in Parchment Farm, the prison in Mississippi, there was a fellow there who was recording folk songs and blues. He was a researcher. It might have been Ellen Lomax. And he was out there in the fields recording all these people singing work songs and blues and things like that. And in the evening, on his way home, he dropped into the sewing room and there was just one woman there. And her name was Maddie Thomas. And we know her name was Maddie Thomas because when this guy set up the recording gear, the first thing she said was, "My name is Maddie Thomas." And he must have been talking to her about Dangerous Blues, the song he heard out in the fields. Because she said, he set up this recording gear to record her, and the first thing she's saying is, "You keep on talking about them dangerous blues. Well, if I had a pistol, I'd be dangerous too." And it's quite a remarkable document, because here's this woman who's having to sing to this white researcher, and she's making up the lyrics as she goes, and she's telling the story of her life. So it's quite a bitter song. It's a song that has a pretty unique quality to it. So I came across these lyrics in a book, and actually the song goes on and on and on, but that went over the page, and I didn't even realise there was more stuff on the other side of the page. I was so impressed by the first bit. So I took her lyrics and I shuffled them around and moved them around a bit and added a new melody and turned it into a 12-bar and added a groove to it, and that's Dangerous. You keep on talking about a dangerous blues. You keep on talking about a dangerous blues. Well, if I had a pistol, I'd be dangerous too. You know it's true. You might be a bullet, and I don't know. You might be a bullet, but I don't know. But I can fix you, so you won't be no trouble in this world. I know. She don't cook no breakfast, she don't wash no clothes. That Matty don't cook no breakfast, that Matty don't wash no, she don't wash no clothes. That girl lazy, just telling you what everybody knows. Yes, that's right. My knee bone hurt me, and my ankle swell. My knee bone hurt me, and my ankle swell. Might get better, but I won't get well. Baby to baby, bat and do today. Well, Matty had a baby, and I got blue eyes. Matty had a baby, and that baby, it got blue eyes. Every time she looked at that baby, gotta see poor Matty cry. Now, my friend and mentor, Ralph, he died. And what he left behind was a mess and a hassle. And bits of his family started fighting other bits of his family. And there was a tussle over his wife's house. And I really like her. I think she's a lovely person. She didn't deserve to have people trying to take her house off her. So one night I had a dream. I had a dream that I was watching TV and they were talking about houses falling into the sea. Like it was some sort of coastal erosion story. But there was Heather's house on the TV and it was falling into the sea. The next part of that dream, I was at Heather's house and there'd been this enormous party the night before, and all the adults were comatose in various rooms, and I was the first person awake, and I staggered into the living room, and there's these kids there, and the kids want something to eat, and there was some weirdness about some kid being allergic to cornflakes or something. You know, dream logic is weird, and that's where the lyrics for this tune came from. And it's really simple. It's just got that. It's got a flat 3-2 is the bass line under the verses, and then in the chorus we get a more usual 4 flat 3. So it's really simple. Keep it simple, stupid is the approach here, but the lyrics come from that dream. Dark was the night when I laid my head upon your pillow. And the moon was shining down. I could tell by the way you were breathing that your house was falling down, and your house is falling down to the sea. Your house is falling down to the sea. Your house is falling down to the sea. Well, the children had nothing left to eat. They looked like they was dead upon their feet. They were standing around looking straight at me, 'cause they didn't have nowhere left to sleep. 'Cause your house is falling down to the sea. Your house is falling down to the sea. Your house is falling down to the sea. Let me tell you about the places I have been to, all the things that I have done and I have seen. I'll tell you about all the things that I'm gonna do in places you ain't never gonna see. Because your house is falling down to the sea. Your house is falling down to the sea. Yes, it has. Your house is falling down, all the way down to the sea. Now, when Ralph was doing his last recordings before he passed away, he rang me up one day and he said, "You know, I've been singing like Billie Holliday," and I got it, because Billie Holliday, she was a self-taught singer. She had a hard life, and towards the end of her life, her voice was cracked and broken and scarred. And it had every element of her hard life you could hear in her singing. And I could get how Ralph was inspired by that. So anyway, so Ralph passed away and left me with this idea of being inspired by Billie Holliday. And I think most of my singing approach actually does come from Billie Holliday. So Billie was you might say she didn't have good taste in men. She used to like gangster types. And gangster types are not known for being monogamous. They're the kind that'll cheat on you and do far worse. So back in those days, all the women wore lipstick and all the men had white collars. And if a woman got too close to a man, well, you'd be able to see the evidence. There'd be lipstick on the collar. One night, her husband came home with lipstick on his collar, and he started to make excuses. And she just said to him, "Well, don't explain. I'm glad you're back, but skip that lipstick, and I'm glad you're back." Hush now, don't explain. Just say you'll remain. You skip that lipstick, don't explain. I say quiet, don't explain. I know you raised Cain. I'm glad you're back, don't explain. You know that I love you, and what love endures. All my thoughts are of you, 'cause I'm so completely yours. I cry to hear folks chatter, and I know you cheat. Right or wrong don't matter when I'm with you, sweet. I said hush now, don't explain. I know you raised King. Skip that lipstick, don't explain. Oh, you know that I love you, and what love endures. All my thoughts are of you, and I'm so completely yours. I cry to hear folks chatter, and I know you cheat. Right or wrong don't matter when I'm with you, sweet. I said quiet, don't explain. Just say you'll remain. Skip that lipstick, don't explain.